Progress is a funny thing. One minute your potential is limitless, the next minute you're left wondering where it all went wrong. Progress can not only make a small town boom, it can also make it a distant memory. This is the story of Elginfield, Ontario. My name is Angie, and I'll be your host for this episode of Main Street, Canada. Thank you for joining me as we journey through the past of small towns in Ontario, discovering the main players and events that took place before our time. Before we get started, please click the subscribe button and we'll begin. Elginfield, Ontario is located approximately 16 kilometers north of the City of London at the corner of Highway 4 and Highway 7, with the junction of Highway 23 just to the east. The hamlet was first known as Ryan's Corners, after William Hodgins Ryan. Mr. Ryan was born in Tipperary, Ireland in 1819 and immigrated to Upper Canada as a young man with his father, Francis Ryan. They first settled on Lot 32, Concession 3 in 1835. Mr. Ryan was one of the more prominent figures in the municipality's history, whereas in 1837 through 38 he performed loyal and yeoman service for the Queen and the country. Within the Simcoe cavalry, he assisted in the survey of the Huron tract, which at that time was an almost unbroken forest. Mr. Ryan was also noted far and wide for his large-hearted hospitality, which possibly led to his career as a hotel keeper. There are many stories where Mr. Ryan rose from his bed at all hours of the night to assist and administer to the wants of some poor, tired, and lonely traveler. It was considered his lot in life to help the needy. He passed away in August of 1908 at 90 years of age, predeceased by his wife Sarah and daughter Eliza, leaving behind two sons, John and David. His name will long be remembered by the good people of both townships, Middlesex and Biddulph. Ryan's Corners would not stay for long, as the hamlet was renamed Elginfield in 1849, after the governor of the province of Canada, James Bruce, 8th Earl of Elgin. This was due to the arrival of the post office, and Ryan's Corners was not the name that they would accept. It was at that time where progress began to catch up with this little hamlet. Renamed Elginfield, as the post office had selected, while Biddulph was still part of the county of Huron, the London and Goderich gravel road was built from Elginfield to Goderich. The contract price through Biddulph was $4,000 per mile, which afterwards had to be considerably increased, as they had underestimated this greatly, due to the dense forests and number of swamps, in addition to the number of flowing waterways that had to be traversed. More bridges than expected were needed, driving the costs up on this developing area. Still, progress continued and lodging was needed. The Ryan House was built in 1855 by Mr. W. H. Ryan. It was one of the largest hotels in rural Ontario. Situated on the southeast corner of present-day Highway 4 and 7, Richmond Street and Elginfield Road, which remained one of the busiest and largest hotels in the area. In 1851, Mr. Ryan was elected reeve, serving a number of terms after serving as collector for several years of the same municipality. In 1856 through 7, the railway company surveyed a line via Elginfield. Records show that the population of Elginfield at that time was 50. By 1889, the population had jumped to 300. It was then that they found out that the train would not pass through Elginfield, as other lines would be created all around the hamlet and slowed the progress, if not bringing it to a halt. Until the invention of the cars, travelers still needed a place to rest and refresh their animals as they traveled from place to place. The Ryan House remained, although under new ownership, Thomas Cretin. Thomas Cretin was recorded as proprietor of the hotel in 1894, renamed the Thomas Cretin Royal Hotel. Also owner of the hotel in nearby Burr, Ontario. Mr. Cretin continued to offer shelter to travelers until at least December 23, 1810, when Thomas passed away of old age. Today, there are a few businesses in the area, but much less than there used to be. Like many other small rural locations, the ease of travel and the distances we can go today eliminates the need for many of these small towns. If they're lucky enough, they can transition into a small residential community. Unfortunately for Elginfield, its proximity to the major highway intersection has never made it a desirable place to raise a family, with many opting for nearby Lucan or Arva. The one thing that does remain in Elginfield is the observatory. Although not located directly in Elginfield, it does share an address. The observatory is an astronomical observatory located on the rural road nearby, about 2 minutes from Elginfield. Opened in 1969, the observatory is owned and operated by the University of Western Ontario. I know very little about telescopes, so if you're interested, please feel free to look into this observatory, especially online, where you can learn many more features than I would be able to pronounce or explain here. What I can say is that the research includes monitoring the changing sizes of stars, estimating outgassing of the minor planets, and searching for large meteors. All sounds very cool, but it also sounds way over my head. That concludes this episode of Main Streets Canada, Elginfield Edition. I hope you've enjoyed our journey today through the history of this small hamlet that has basically become a ghost town in recent years. I encourage you to get out, explore the small villages and hamlets in your area, because you never know what hidden gems you may uncover. If you could, please subscribe to the channel to keep posted on videos that I have coming up in the future. I thank you for joining me today. If you could, please subscribe to the channel to keep posted on videos that I have coming up in the future. And have a great day.